Oh, how precious. Oh, that's not very old at all.
Lucky.
Huh?
Lucky.
Yeah, beautiful. And that's one thing I love about spotted hyena, they're so inquisitive. Now, some of you might be thinking, you thought you heard me say we're going to a spotted hyena den, and this one doesn't have any spots. It's because it's so young. They only start to get the spots around 4 months old. So we know this is definitely under 4 months old, and at a guess I'd probably say maybe about a month and a half, maybe 2 months by the size of it. It's very small. And it's very normal for them to have a den, and a female will have her pups here, and she'll come back after a night's foraging and feed them. They actually suckle for quite a long time, usually about a year and a half, up to a year and a half before they're fully weaned. If I move forward a little bit more, you might get a nicer shot. I don't want to go around the other side and scare it. And unfortunately, spotted hyena have this bad reputation of stealing everyone's food. And yes, they do that, but they're actually very good predators in their own right. And quite often, and when film crews have come along, it's actually the hyenas trying to steal their food back. And that's probably where they got the wrong impression of the fact that hyenas scavenge a lot more than they predate. But now you can see those spots on the adult quite clearly. In South Africa, we spotted hyenas at a communal den by the looks of it, and we've just seen a very young baby hyena, and it was, I would say, probably about, oh, here it is again, right on cue. Probably about a month old. It is very small but very inquisitive, and I think that's what makes hyenas so successful, because they do have this curiosity. Look at that. Actually, that one coming in looks like it could have been a youngster from a few years ago. One thing I have noticed about hyenas, they tend to get paler and the hair much shorter as they get older. You can see that one's quite fluffy, the one that's following the little baby now. Good morning, all stations. The Mbezi Kaya just off of Philemon's cut line is active. Affirmative, the Mbezi Kaya on Philemon's cut line is active. The Mbezi. I think the guys aren't used to my accent again. It's taken them a little while to understand what I'm saying. Now, if the adults aren't here, that hole that we saw the baby come out of will be its little retreat, and quite often they would have dug a little scrape right at the back so that only the babies can get there. So if there's any danger, the babies will actually retreat right into the back of that hole so that any big animal can't get at them. So just read my mind. I was just about to start talking about that. Well, welcome from New Jersey. And Gail was wanting to know how many pups they might have. And typically it's usually around 2, although I have read they could have up to 3. Now, as I was saying as we're approaching... Oh, hello, what's going on? You see the mother's got her ears picked up. She's stretching to see what's happening. She might have just caught the scent of something. Nope. But it pays to be on the lookout. And a pup that size is vulnerable to anything. And that's very true for any carnivore. They're small, they can be vulnerable to eagles, they could be vulnerable to snakes. The rules of the bush: if you're bigger, then you get to eat more. If you're smaller, you could become someone's meal. So stay safe, little one. But as I was saying earlier, the spotted hyena can be very aggressive, and even at that age, you might even get siblicide. So the more dominant female might end up killing the other female, even if it's just by stopping them getting to the teat to get milk. The same family. Now, the age of this little pup, it might be the same. I'm not sure how long ago Peter found it. But it could be the same.
That was in November.
November.
Already a month or old at the time.
Oh, okay. So it was in November and probably about a month old. So this won't be the same pup. They grow very rapidly. But they say that the family members could be connected, and maybe that. Go going to Mum for reassurance. I'm sure she'll go back to what looks to be the older sibling. There we go. Oh.
Gwendolyn from California would like to know what that bird is that you can hear calling in the background.
Good morning, was it Gwendolyn from California? Welcome on board this morning, and you're hearing a bird in the background. I've been so focused on the hyenas. I've just been enjoying just watching them. I've actually phased out any sounds. It's quite amazing. But the bird that is calling in the background that I think you are picking up is the oriole. It's just behind us in the tree. Black-headed oriole. Kind of going... Oh, that was very bad, wasn't it? Wet whistle a little bit. Let's try that one again. Getting better. But I think that's the one. That's the only one that I've just focused in on now. There was a black-crowned checker off in the distance. That was fairly bare where they were. That was one of the main holes, I think, somewhere around there, and we were seeing the cubs, or pups. I think it's interchangeable actually. Pugs and cubs. Pups and cubs. Because hyenas have actually been messed around a little bit in the whole taxonomy. So they were originally classified as dogs, and you can see why. Originally, the classification was based a lot on the looks of animals. And you can see they do look like a dog. They've got that long nose, the muzzle does look like a dog, the ears, the rounded ears. Even the claws are out constantly. Now with cats, the claws actually get retract so that they get protected and they stay sharp. But they have been changed from being in the dog suborder to the cat suborder. And it's all to do with what's going on inside the skull. There's a few similarities between the skulls of true cats and hyenas, and that's why they've been reclassified as or part of the cat order. Hello, lady. Oh, a notch on her right ear and a notch on the top of the left, so she should be fairly easy to recognise in future. So I think there was a little bit of a debate this morning as to whether the slightly older cub was the one that Hayden saw. But it's just a little bit too big for it to be Hayden's, because I think Hayden saw, and Peter I think saw one in October, November. I don't know if Hayden's was the same. But it was about the same size as the pup that we saw just now, which would be about a month old. And they do grow fairly quickly, not as quickly as herbivores do, but it certainly would be a lot larger than this little pup. But the other adult is just too big for it to be a 4-month-old cub as well, so I think this is a different mother. I think the adult or sub-adult does belong to this mother, but probably about a 3-4-year-old. Okay, I think unfortunately we're not getting a great view of the little pup here. It looks like pup is resting. There you go, there's the other adult. Let's say it. I think this one is the sub-adult, or a sub-adult. When we saw them this morning, you couldn't really see now, but the older female, the fur isn't as thick as this individual. As you can see, it's still got quite thick fur on its body. And as they get older, that fur seems to thin out a little bit, and the adults seem to get paler with age as well. You can see the spots on this one nice and clearly. There you go, you can see the sloping back that I was telling you about earlier. The heavy front, and they've actually got one of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom. There's wide cheekbones and the very pointed head actually allows them to have that enormous bite power. And remember, they are the caretakers of the bush. They will take bone, and they're able to crunch bone that even lions aren't able to eat. Gonna come and say hello, little one? So I think the general consensus is Nala, unless anybody has any other suggestions. It'd be quite fitting for this little one. It's very, very cute. Well, I can't think of a better way to end the day watching a family of hyenas with such an adorable little baby, which I'm sure I'll have a name for her very soon. Go back inside, it's not safe. Oh, wonderful.
In the door.
That is very cool. Did you hear your name? Do you like your name? Bela.
Is it usual for him to come out if there's...
Not usually, but as I say, it could be that the adult is around them and just not seeing them. But this is also what makes me think this is a female, because she's very bold and she has a lot of energy. She was giving her older sibling, I think, a run for her money. as I say, she will be keeping safe. Remember, there's going to be a little hole right in the back of that den where only she can go. So if there is any predators around, you can see she's very alert. She's got her ears, just keeping a listen out. Oh, but that is perfect. Definitely what a way to end such a wonderful morning. And Bela just sitting behind the bush. Thought I saw a little dark shadow there. Let's go around. Into it is. Oh, she says. Sorry, lady. You were too quiet. From come in. Yeah, that was very impressive, I've got to say. A lot of people being very impressed with Brian keeping up with the grey heron. I think they're quite cute creatures, and it is nice to see them so close. And I think maybe so relaxed as well, because I say a lot of people have a wrong impression of hyenas, and they can actually be very caring, especially when you see them with their babies. Now I think this is the youngster who we saw the other day. The juvenile. Oh no, I can see a notch in the ear. This could actually be Mum. Mum did have a couple of notches, one in each ear. So maybe the little Bela is actually sleeping quite soundly inside the hole. Go ahead. Fermented filament dip. And I think baby is there, but it's just she's oh, there she is. Good morning, Bela. Oh, beautiful. She looks like she's full of beans this morning. Now, I can actually just make her out from behind the bush, so hopefully she'll come back out again. She does look like she's got a lot of energy this morning, probably because she slept in late last night. She did poke her head out just as we were leaving. But we wouldn't have really been able to show you anyway, because we don't put spotlights on baby hyenas, especially this young, because you could put their life in danger. So it's very common practice. Once it gets dark, you just let them melt into the darkness. Oh. Bedtime. Are you going to come and show her? taking her, Mum? Well, thank you very much for bringing her out to show us. I was wondering if she was going to start moving her to another den, but maybe she was just playing. Because I can't see the teeth swollen out, so I don't think this is Mum. I think this is the youngster again. But you see how boisterous she can be back, and that's what it really does cement it for me, that she's a little female. Now, I did have an interesting question just before we closed down last night about males and when they disperse. Because it's, for those of you who don't know much about hyenas, it's female dominated. And there we go. Oh no, this is Mum, I can see the teats now. Okay, so Mum does have a notch in her left ear. Okay, so she is actually quite young then. And a notch in the top right ear. So that is the female that we saw yesterday, so I think that is Mum that we saw yesterday. I thought it might have been the youngster. But I wonder if she isn't picking up the scent of the lions, because I think the lions walk down the road just behind us there, and I'm wondering if that was the scent that she's picking up, and maybe she's getting a little bit uneasy, and maybe she is going to start moving Baby. It looks like that's what she's trying to do, but Baby's got other plans. Because you can see she keeps looking in that general direction over her shoulder there. She's like, no Ma, I don't want to go, I like it here. Maybe she is a first time Mum. You can see that reaction, hey? She knows where it's safe. What are you looking at over there, lady? Of course, it is safer for mums to move here. Check her stance, look. But it is safer for mums to move their offspring during the day, because obviously the larger carnivores aren't as active during the day, so you tend to find leopards moving their cubs during the day. But it does look like Mum is determined. But it could be that she's moving her to a communal den. Morning, Joe. Joe wants to know. Oh, look at this. What's wrong, lady? What are you smelling, hey? So I wonder if that female that we saw right on the first day was her mother. It could well have been. And remember, the little pup was playing with this one quite a lot, and maybe that was why. Maybe we got it wrong, that this was Mum and it was actually Grandma that was lying down next to the hole. But she is absolutely adamant that she has to leave.